It is not what I say or intend to do that produces results. It's what I do. So there are so many of us that wake up and have good intentions for today. Yeah. I intend to do this, this, and this, and at the end of the day, whatever happens, right? Mm-hmm. The day gets in the way, and then our intentions become nothing. Just lost opportunities in a way. I'd like to welcome back to the show, Amy Lassen.
I thought this was Summit.
So I saw you backstage doing that. I started to kind of crack up as you were doing that in our green room. An interesting stat: 50% more properties went under contract in Hampton Roads last week than were listed. Did you just notice that? I mean, what a smoking market!
That's crazy.
What a smoking market. Always good to see you. We are talking all things Summit, all things virtual Summit. You and I would normally be in Anaheim right now. It'd be 6:30 in the morning, but instead we're, you're in Colorado, I'm in Florida, and we're doing the show about virtual Summit.
Yes.
And it's exciting. It's not as exciting as being able to see all of our friends in person, but we're going to make the best of it. And I thought that the content yesterday that Tom went over was, A+. So. It was 3 hours of jam-packed content, followed by today 7 hours, I think, and then tomorrow 7 more hours. So our minds and heads will be bursting with good stuff to share. What were maybe a couple of your takeaways, high-level takeaways from yesterday?
As an intro, or do you want me to jump into my favorite?
No, just do an intro if you want.
So I think. Listings all the time. Don't let COVID hold you back. Mindset will take you everywhere. I guess that's how I would summarize yesterday. But it's interesting to me. I actually was super impressed. And the reason I'm surprised at how impressed I was is it's virtual. And this is my 9th summit. So. Yep. Come on. So maybe I didn't expect to be impressed. Mm-hmm. So I was really surprised at the end of that, brief start to be really energized. And, I had my own documents on the side. I had, someone on one screen and documents on another, creating plans. And so, I found it really empowering.
I agree. And I had, this was my 3rd or 4th summit. I think I have higher expectations than you do because you've been to so many. But they met the expectations. I thought, some of the content that I think, you and I are going to get into in the next few minutes around attracting listings. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the same script that was regurgitated. There was some new stuff, that clearly some people have been using at a high level. I thought Joseph McClendon, who I understand you've heard speak before, he does a lot of, Tony Robbins events with Tony Robbins. I had never heard of him, never heard him speak. Yeah. I thought that his talk was entertaining and quite fruitful because we all know, there's so many people that they learn something and they don't implement it. And then the conversation around why we don't do that and what we can do to get into action. You and I think, get frustrated at times because we talk to real estate agents and we impart what we believe is good knowledge on them, sometimes knowledge that would, change their lives for the better, and they kind of commit to doing it, and then nothing happens. And I've had I've had agents that have spoken to our group before, and they have stood in front of our group of, 120 people at a business meeting, and they've said, I'm going to share everything with you because I know that you're not going to do anything with it. And if 1 or 2 of you do, that's not a big deal. I'm not worried about 120 top producers doing all this stuff. Yeah. That would impact my market, but a couple of you do it, that's fine. So I thought that discussion was an interesting one.
Well, I think that's a heck of a place to kick off, because one of the things and I can't remember who said it now. It might have actually been Tom, but maybe it was McClendon who said, it's not like you're suffering from lack of information.
No kidding.
It's not like you can't do the things that you want to do because you just don't know how, or there's no way to get the information. That's
right.
not it.
Yep.
So the truth is, I missed part of the listing part. So I'm glad if you have good notes.
Yeah.
But I love, I kind of came into this show really excited to share that it doesn't matter that I missed the list of things to do to get more listings.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not going to do it, it doesn't matter, right? So McClendon was my absolute favorite, although Andy C. always blows my mind. I've heard him, the first time was 2012. I heard him from the main stage, the actual main stage, back when it was called Tom X.
Yes, right.
I have taught classes and quoted that guy, so I was super excited to see Andy C. again. But McClendon really, really empowered me to understand my psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of us. And you said, we do our best. We give the agents the tools and then they don't use them. So I appreciated what he said about being in action and having your psychology be everything. It kind of reminded me of Mel Robbins' 5-second rule when he was like, in the moment when you feel yourself sort of bogged down or get into some sort of resistance with yourself, snap out of it,
right?
Give yourself a big smile, which is what releases dopamine, give yourself a hit of positivity, be in action. And so I think if everyone actually, and what was his 10-day to do was so intense. I was grateful to hear that it was only 10 days because I was editing it in my notes. I'm like, I couldn't do that every hour. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I want to start actually with the bottom because, and where is it? Do you remember it off the top of your head? I think it was write down your vision and then read it to yourself every single hour. Set a reminder in your phone and your phone will go off every hour and remind you to read your vision.
Yep. Read it out loud
to yourself.
Yes.
Every single hour for 10 days.
Yep.
He said, there's no question that it will change you. He said, the alarm goes off, jump up, smile, read it out loud to yourself. Give yourself a big cheesy smile. And he has an impressively cheesy smile.
He does.
Yeah. But I think you get it. Practice on yourself. How do you feel when you do this? How do you feel when you do this?
Yep.
It changes your ability to have confidence in yourself and take action. So yeah, I was inspired by him all over again. I had him for days in San Jose back in.
So let's dig more into what that vision is.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we're defining that as what do we want more of? And he said that everybody kind of falls into these categories of what do we want? You want more, but what do you want? So in other words, people have this innate, it's just in us that we want more.
Yeah.
Right? But what is that? And he was saying we want more health, more, being healthy in general. And that doesn't mean physical health. It could be mental health, right? I mean, so, think big here. I would encourage our audience to be thinking big here.
Yeah.
More happiness.
Yep.
And financial abundance.
Yes.
And then he also said, and I wrote this down, it is not what I say or intend to do that produces results. It's what I do. So there are so many of us that wake up and have good intentions for today. Yeah. I intend to do this, this, and this. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, right? Mm-hmm. The day gets in the way, and then our intentions become nothing. Just lost opportunities in a way.
Yeah. I think that you said something really powerful, and it wasn't something McClendon said, but that you said we all want things. We all want more. We all want a lot of things. And I don't know if that's true. I think a lot of us not want. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to have crappy clients. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to do my lead gen.
Yeah.
I don't want stress.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the conversation you have with yourself is your subconscious doesn't understand not or no. It just understands the actual words, right?
Right.
So I'm not a klutz. I'm not a klutz. I'm not a klutz is not really
right.
anything powerful at all. I am graceful. I am gracious. I am graceful. I am gracious, right? So I just want to encourage everyone to start with wanting, because if you do the not negative, your mind can't wrap its head around that. So I love your clarity around health, happiness, and financial abundance, which was his definition of wealth, right? And so create visions in all of those areas. And he gave the example of, for health, what if it's a certain amount of muscle, right?
Yes.
For energy. And so be concrete in those ways. I think we've all heard this about dreaming a vision for yourself, positive affirmation. Vague doesn't take you very far.
Right.
Like, I want more money in the bank. I want to feel better. That's super vague.
Yep.
And it's hard to take action on. It's like saying, I need a mode of transportation. I need a mode of transportation,
Yep.
Well, your feet work, like if you're trying to buy a car, you've got to choose a make and model and give yourself a deadline, right? Have a budget. And so I think, but we're all guilty of that, saying, I want more money in the bank. I want to feel better. That's super, super vague. You just cannot buy a car with that level of specificity. So I think that's the vision, right, Charlie?
Agreed. Yeah. So we also talked about, this vision is, could be this, this specific dream repeated over and over with emotional intensity, with the word specific, I think is just so important, as you mentioned a second ago.
Yeah. So I think the question is, could you commit to that an hour? Actually, I should just do it. An hour. I mean, once an hour.
Well, I intend to, Amy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even commit to yesterday. We're in the midst of Summit. Like, I wrote it down. I got excited about it.
Yep.
Maybe I haven't, quite frankly, had time to solidify my vision. I'm not quite sure what I'd be chanting or saying. So maybe it doesn't happen today. Maybe it happens Saturday.
Yep.
But what would get in the way of you accepting his challenge to read it out loud to yourself, to stand up, to drink water? He talked about how he hydrates. He gets the electricity flowing through his body, right? Do a little, jump up and down, get the blood flowing, say it out loud to yourself. How long would it take? 60 seconds? How about 5 minutes? Would it be the end of the world if it was 5 minutes, which it won't be, right? And it's 10 days. This is a sprint, right? The thing that I say to the people that I coach about change is we're all kind of guilty of psyching ourselves out and saying, all right, fine, I will do such and such now, and I will do it with determination for the rest of my life. And you miss the first day and you're like, oh, forget it. I'm so bad at this. Why don't you just do a sprint, right? You don't have to commit to forever, because what he is encouraging you to realize is how much change is possible when you give yourself, that it's like, take the summit with you, right? Keep the positive infusion.
No, I think it's a great idea. So figure out the vision, right? And, Summit Week's overwhelming. It runs till 7:00 Eastern, right? And, a lot of us on the East Coast, we're having our regular day. And then at, 11 o'clock, it stops. Then we run, got to do Summit, and then it's catching up. So I have no problem with, if the intention, if the goal, if the must is, okay, this weekend, I'm going to refine what my vision is. And then, I'm going to start doing this exercise, for 10 days. And I do think that it makes sense. And if you miss an hour, so what?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So what, start again.
Yeah.
Right. So, done is better than perfect. And I think that, trying this and being committed to it, I think could, it's something that, that I want to do. I've never done something like this before.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that you said that done is better than perfect. And I want to share with everyone, like I said, my 9th summit, and I remember the first, and I remember Tom is so good at, really getting in your face and trying to get you to believe in yourself and to get you to raise your goals. And he said, write down, the biggest, scariest goal. And I wrote down a number that terrified me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the bravest thing I had ever done to write that number. And then he says, now put a 0 behind it. And that just intimidated me into a corner. And so I will say, it has taken me a while to be able to have that power of, I write it and I make it so, baby. So anybody who's intimidated, who feels like it's not that easy for me to turn on the faucet of enthusiasm and action, just stay with it. Just like Charlie said, effort, practice is perfect, right? Practicing and doing your best will get you there over time. Absolutely will.
Good. He also talked about, why do some succeed at a high level and some don't? And boy, when he started talking about this, it was like, I'm like glued to it, because we know people in life and in real estate that, they're amazingly successful. And then we know many who are average, then we know some who are below average. It's just like, what is really the difference? It's not this, you're not born with charisma. It's not because they're better looking. It's not because they started off wealthy. It's like, what truly is it? And I thought that, this was a really interesting, he didn't spend a lot of time on this, but he said there's 5 reasons why some succeed at a high level and some don't. Reason number 1, you and I have already touched on it this morning, procrastination. Procrastination. They always waiting, getting ready to get ready. As Davidson Lunger used to say that all the time. We're still getting ready to get ready, right? That's one of the Davidson isms, along with, we're not 911 operators. That might be my favorite one. So, hesitation, the paralysis analysis type of a thing, and analyticals. I'm an analytical, and I turn into a driver when I get annoyed, right? I mean, it's like the switch flips. So, analyticals that are out there watching, watching this on the replay, you need to guard yourself against that, right? Stop analyzing and just start doing. At some point, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to jump in the deep end. You got to push them out of the nest. The whole thing. Yeah. Fear of failure. Interesting. And then what's maybe more interesting is the opposite of that. Fear of success keeps us from achieving what we should be able to achieve. If you want to be, like the hot shot $1 million listing LA, what's stopping you? I mean, honestly, they didn't just fall from the sky and get on Bravo TV and sell all this real estate, right? They started off as rookies. They didn't know what they were doing, right? And now they're, celebrities, right? And even if you don't want the celebrity piece, if you want to sell 50 million in 2021, honestly, what's stopping you, right? I mean, really, we have the knowledge, we have the tools, right? It's something else that's getting in the way. It's the objection. Well, I don't have time. I've got the family. I've got this. I've got that. Well, you don't want it bad enough.
Yeah,
probably, right? And then the imposter syndrome. He didn't get into that. And I'm putting you on the spot.
Yep.
Do you know what that is?
Yep.
Can you share? Because I don't.
Oh, okay, cool. So what's the 5th one? Because I really think we can weave these together. What was the 5th?
Procrastination,
yeah,
hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, imposter syndrome is number 5.
Oh, is it the last one? Okay, cool. So imposter syndrome is when you sort of put yourself in the place to do the thing, but really feel like you don't belong. Like, I don't have it in me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, it's like, my sister runs a really big deal scholarship program.
Okay.
These are brilliant 17-year-olds who come into this program, and they have it in the worst way. Like, these are kids who have done incredible post-doctorate level work in high school, and yet they're so afraid that they're not up to the challenge, right? Like, I don't have it in me. So I think this all weaves together, because I think procrastination for most of us is born of fear of failure or fear of success, right? So I think that's where the procrastination comes from in the first place. And that imposter syndrome is part of it. Like, and maybe it's not even that, because I think you have to reach a certain level of accomplishment to suffer from imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Just believe, I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to begin. Right. That's not really imposter syndrome. But to have a certain level of success, but to still feel like you're faking it.
Yeah.
Right. What if they catch me? What if they find out this is all a facade?
Yeah.
Right. So I think the truth is, this comes down to committing to strategy, right? And following through. And that will help with a lot of things. And I think for expressives like me, procrastination does come from fear of failure and fear of success. I don't know if analyticals, maybe it's slightly different, where they procrastinate just because they really want to feel like they've got it completely planned out, but it's still a matter of comfort. Maybe it's a different type of comfort, but it's still about, am I comfortable yet?
Right.
Right. And the truth is, you've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because being a business owner and being an entrepreneur and being successful, you don't get ahead if you don't do what others won't.
Right.
If you only do the comfortable things that would be easy for anyone, guess what? You're just waking up. You're just rolling out of bed. So I think if you could recognize the resistance in you as normal, and this is something that I say to the newbies, right? If you went into a gym, you would never pick up the weights, realize they're heavy, throw them down and storm out. But we do that in business. It's like, why is this so hard?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did no one tell you it was going to be hard? Let me make this easy for you. It's going to be really hard. And you can do it, right?
Right.
So I think that's the way we overcome it. And what you said is just take action anyway. Done is better than perfect, right? I read this book called Getting Results for Dummies.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that the most successful people in the world, the secret to their success is that they make decisions and they are in forward motion and they clean up messes as they go. They don't wait to make sure there will never be a mistake. Mm-hmm. They just take action. And maybe you've already said this, but to me, this is the tidiest way to say it. It doesn't matter if a mistake happens, you will be able to handle that. If you never move forward, there will be nothing to handle.
No, I think that that's a brilliant way to finish that little segment of our summit recap. We don't have lots of time left, but I do want to jump into listing attraction strategies. We went over 7 of them yesterday. Let's kind of run through those briefly today, I think, because some of them might be obvious, but not ones that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Number 1, referral sites. So are you on the Home Gains, the Home Lights, there are referral sites that are free to join. And if you get a referral from them and you close it, then you owe them a referral fee, 30, 35%. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? And so spending some time on that, and we can, publish the, list for the group if they're interested in it. So referral sites, some of this is free. Calling everyone in your database. And I remember Tom yesterday saying everyone. And then I had a coaching call a couple hours ago, and I said to her or asked her, is everyone in your database? Is your dentist in your database?
Yeah.
Right? Or do you fall into the limiting belief of, well, he has lots of patients and he probably knows 20 agents and he would never choose me anyway, so I'm never going to talk to him about real estate, right? And I pointed out to this agent who was not pushing back on me at all.
Sure.
I have another client that I coached that just got a referral, or wasn't a referral, it was a listing from her doctor, right? Because she decided one day that she was not going to be the one that didn't ask, right? Like all the rest of us probably, what we were talking about a minute ago, we're afraid to ask because we're afraid of the no.
Sure.
So we don't ask.
Yeah.
So I think piggybacking off of what Tom said yesterday, have we honestly talked to everyone in our database? I would also say, is everyone that we know in our database?
Yeah.
I think the answer is probably no. And have we talked to everybody recently? The answer is probably no. Right. For most people, that's just that's the reality. So there's no reason to feel bad. Expireds, they've been around for a million years, right? And I think that the differentiator there is the ones that are successful with expireds, and let me know if you disagree. They're committed. It's not, well, God, the pipeline's a little slow. I'm going to call some expireds today.
Yes.
No, it's every day. It doesn't matter what the pipeline is. Tom has a breakout session today or tomorrow with 2 rock star, expired agents, right, where they do it every day, and their pipeline is enormous. I think one of them said on Facebook yesterday, she's got 42 closings this month. You know what? I guarantee you she's still making her calls today, right? Well, so the dabblers with expireds, I think it doesn't work.
But this is the dabblers with everything. So I love that we have this moment right here. Right. So at number 4 in the list of 7, here's a great time to say, pick any one of these and do your best. Don't dabble. Don't call 3 expireds, 2 FSBOs, and 5 people in your sphere of influence and say, see, none of it worked. You've really got to put in the time. And these experts who will be sharing, I remember one of them sharing her journey of committing to getting 15 listing appointments in a single month. And it took her several months to become comfortable with the expired exchange and to really be able to deliver value, to deliver answers to their problems in a unique way. Focus, baby.
It's interesting. How many other industries can you take several months to learn something and make $1 million from it?
Oh, dear Lord.
I mean, most industries, it's not even possible.
No.
But then some, it's like, well, okay, if that's the goal, it's going to take me 20 years, and then I'll get there, right? In this industry, if you're committed, truly committed, right? What we talked about kind of at the top of the show, there really is no limit. So we're running a little bit over here.
Industries, could you get away with dabbling and still earn a living?
You know, a good living at that.
So I just say, I think most of us don't take our own career seriously enough. Yeah.
No, agreed. Moving on here, non-owner occupieds. This is something that is forgotten. If you're mailing to your farm using bulk mail or EDDM, guess what? They're not getting it, right? So you need to be mailing to your non-owner occupieds, and there's other strategies of, calling them, stalking them on social media, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think that we constantly can fall into the trap of, we know rates are low. We know inventory is, not only is it low, it's a third lower than last year when we were complaining about the inventory, right? Mm-hmm. We're not normal. We're realtors. The normal people, they're concerned about right now getting their kids ready for homeschooling again, right? Still working from home with their spouse. They're not thinking about rates or the fact that the investment property they've had for 10 years may be worth more than they've ever dreamed, right? Yeah. It's just not necessarily on their radar. So it's important that we consider that. Agent to agent, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Ready to downsize.
Yes.
So people that have been in their houses for decades, 2-story houses, right? Maybe it's time to go into the assisted living facility. Maybe it's time to just graduate to the single level living. I was, talking to a client earlier today, and, there's some people that while they may be in perfectly good health, this pandemic has made them think, wow, geez, bad health could be right around the corner, and I don't want to have to walk up the stairs to the master bedroom anymore. And that may not have even been something that they were thinking about a year ago, right? But just, people, getting sick has just made them kind of think.
The other thing, though, is when a market is on this type of a trajectory, you know what I mean? When you can sell the bigger house right here and then buy the smaller one, now's the time to do it. The time to buy up is in a down market.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Agent-to-agent referrals. This is a no-brainer. There is a huge opportunity here that I think people squander. You and I both know people in the RE/MAX ecosystem and people in the Tom Ferry ecosystem that make a load of money from agent-to-agent referrals. I was joking with a client this morning, and I said to her, if Tom Ferry raised coaching to $5,000 a month, they'd be like, okay, sign me up. They're never leaving because they make 10 grand a month from the relationships.
Yes.
Right. I know a guy who gets two transactions a month from the Tom Ferry ecosystem, right? They go to events, they elbow themselves into the panels, right? They're on Facebook, they make it a lead source that they're fully committed to, like farming or expireds or past clients in Sphere. Right. Yeah. So that can be done whether you're part of the Tom Ferry ecosystem or part of the RE/MAX ecosystem. And frankly, it can start by spending some time on certain sites, including the census. Where are people moving to from DC and vice versa? And just contacting some top producers there and saying, hey, do you want to be my referral partner? And then keeping in touch with them. It really can, it doesn't have to start by you going to a conference.
No, it doesn't.
That was number 6. Number 7, the script. Based on everything that's been happening over the last 5 or 6 months, are you living in your ideal home right now? It's like, well, hell no. We're in a studio. This isn't working, right? We got to go to the condominium.
Yeah.
I think Brian Block, one of the managers in our Alexandria office, had this very conversation. This young couple, they were in good shape. They were fine. Pandemic hit. They both had to work from home. They're in a studio. It doesn't work. They're on the phone. I mean, it literally doesn't work. You need to have a separate room. So they moved. They ended up trading up. So do you need more a green space? Do you want a deck? Do you need more levels? Mm-hmm. Now with kids being homeschooled, right? I mean, how does that impact things, right? If you're in a condominium, do you need a townhouse? So if we don't ask the question, we're not going to get the answer. And some people might be like, oh no, we're good. And other people be like, and if they're pausing, they've been thinking about it, right? Sure. This can't continue forever. So that was number 7.
Game. So if and when you call your entire database and 3 people say no, thank you, or 10 people say no, we're happy, guess what? That's not a big enough sampling, right?
Right.
People move on average once every 7 years, and you look at like that's for actually in a farm. If you had 7% turnover in a farm, that would be perfectly healthy, right? Yep. 5 and 6 in really areas where people don't move often.
Right.
The turnover is higher, more like 8% in neighborhoods where there's a lot of movement. The same is true in your database, right? So if you have 200 names in there, 16 of them are getting ready to move.
Right.
So if you've only talked to 3 and they've all said no, your sampling just isn't high enough.
Right. I like it. Any closing thoughts before we adjourn for today?
If you're following along at Summit, and I hope that you are, but even if you aren't, when you watch these shows, when you get ideas, find a way to help yourself be in action, right? Really, I say put everything in a list, A and B them with priorities, give yourself some time estimates and some deadlines, believe that growing the skill is possible, right? You can become the person that you want to be. I had someone say to me, achieving huge goals is so valuable and important because of the journey of becoming the person you can. The goal is not the thing. It's who you will become that you get. Let's say we all live to be 100 years old. That's not very long, right?
Right.
On the path of becoming the person you want to be, it's a worthy journey.
I love it. We'll leave it there. Amy Lassen, always good to see you. We will see you back here on Friday for our 2 days, 14 hours, 14 hours and 14 minutes. That'll be Friday. So I look forward to that. Have a great rest of the summit. Always good to see you.